How do you measure love? How do you weigh the value of commitment and dedication? Is it even possible to determine the impact that we have on each other? God knits our lives together with purpose and intention. By God's design, we're here to serve Him and each other. Sometimes we do that well, and sometimes we make mistakes. But God, in His wisdom, is able to use it all for His purpose, for His glory, and to bless all of us. And sometimes God uses us to be a blessing beyond compare.
Well, Tony is a very intense racquetball player. He loves to win, very competitive. And if I had some advice for him, I would say, Tony, lighten up, enjoy the game a little bit.
We have called ourselves groupies because they have not been able to get rid of us. We have been there and
they're never going to get rid of us.
We're still not going anywhere.
Both of us got saved at Mountain Ridge High School. Tony and I sat down once and we were talking about it, and I'll never forget, I said, I kind of feel like I can't listen to Deep Purple anymore. And he just busted out laughing.
I'm probably the only person in the church that swatted his ball away in basketball.
Wow.
In Bolivia, both times.
So proud.
And pastors' wives that I've known, they just seem to be kind of like the life of the party, or they just kind of, pastors are more boring, I think, compared to their wives. Yeah.
We will probably stalk them no matter where they go.
A few years ago, Tony left on sabbatical for a few weeks. He was gone. And one of the first things he did when he came back was lead singing.
I saw him singing one time. And I mean, if you know Pastor Tony, he's not a singer, but he did sing.
And I thought, that takes a lot of humility to do that. But he did it. And I thought, Tony is trying to set the example for us. If he can do that, we can do anything. I mean, Scripture says, I can do all things through Him, through Christ. It doesn't say, well, but it does say we could do it. And he did it. He actually did it.
Shortly after we came to Horizons, Tony and Cynthia showed up at our house, and they rang the doorbell, and we were home, and they came to the front door with a pie in their hand, and they said, we have this blueberry pie, but we don't have any forks, and so we were wondering if you guys would just share this with us.
One of the few times, trust me, the few times that he's actually got a zinger in on me. It really tugged at his heart, and he called and asked for my forgiveness. It's encouraging to know that the guy lives by his convictions and the words that he says.
I think of her silliness.
The unusual sense of humor that Cynthia has.
I mean, it's a passion of hers to make people laugh.
And the bit of a drier sense of humor that Tony has.
God placed special people to bring laughter into your life.
Both of my children were married by Tony, special. And my 3 grandchildren, they were part of that. I remember when Sydney was born, and the very next morning, there they were, Tony and Cynthia walked in.
Just listening to how deeply they love the Lord and how they live it in every piece of their life, that has had a significant impact on me.
I'm so grateful to be able to say he was my pastor. He's my pastor.
We were facing some crisis in our marriage, and we called him that day. And Tony says, come right over. Just come right over right now. And we did. We dropped everything. We went over there. And my memory was that when we walked in the door, Cynthia came out, and she hugged Chris, and she just held her. She didn't say anything. She just held her.
No words were needed. Cynthia just hugging me was all that I needed at that point.
And there was no condemnation from either side on that. It was just a moment of pure, we're here for you right now.
But he's just a genuine servant of God. And Cynthia, too. She's a peach. She's so warm. She's just so open. I can talk with her about anything like I can Tony.
Behind a great man is a great woman. And I'm a true believer of that.
Our son, Ben, happens to have Down syndrome. And Tony baptized him a few years ago. And I asked Tony, have you baptized anyone before with Down syndrome? And he said no. And that was kind of special to us. And I think special to him, too.
Actually, both of them are like shepherds. They're giving us the example of how God would like us to lead our lives.
The more examples that I have in my life of a great and godly man, the better for me it is. And being able to see the way Tony presents himself, the way he acts, just the way he works in general, it's always great to have a really good example in my life.
Izzy was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when she was 11 years old. But the most severe of her attacks happened when we found out that she was expecting our little Estrella. And even though at that time people were telling us Izzy was not going to live past 6 months, Pastor Tony, just him being in our lives during that time and the encouragement he gave us, the times he came out to see Izzy, gave us peace.
When she felt so way down, Pastor went to the hospital and lifted her up and said, you God's still in charge.
She is here 10 years later. Miracle of God. The encouraging words that Pastor Tony gave us always made us believe that really God is in control.
I'm really struck and blessed by Tony's teaching. He is so clear. It's as if he's painting a word picture.
And the first time I think I heard him, it almost felt he was talking directly to me. And
He was.
Well, maybe he was.
We felt like literally there was a video camera that was in our house.
At the end of every one of his teachings, I would always say to myself, that's the best sermon he's ever given. Week after week.
Everything we were kind of fighting about or arguing about at home, that's the message that he was preaching on.
I think the thing that struck me was almost everything he said seemed right at me.
Just really drawing out God's intent out of the scripture and giving it to us, giving it to me personally.
We really wanted to go back next Sunday because it was like the next chapter in our life.
And I thought, this guy has my number, and he knows me. And I just, the more I come, the more I like them. And
I find him setting the example for me to try to be more open and more honest and transparent.
So God was just working so powerfully through him, and that's, by coming week after week to church and hearing those messages and hearing God work through him, that's really what helped us to make the decision to accept Christ into our lives.
I wish I could be more like him. I really do.
I think that's rare, that people do what they're supposed to do in life and do it well.
And do well.
You're right.
So, yeah, I applaud them.
And I imagine anybody that knows them, their hope is that God richly blesses them in every single thing that they do.
The Lord has a whole wide world waiting for them, and whatever that may be, wherever that takes them, all of the people that they touch will be blessed just like we have been.
It's not just a pastor and his wife, it's very, very dear friends of ours for so many years.
I really believe that God's going to continue to use him for many years to come. I really do. And Cynthia as well in her work and her ministry.
I can't imagine that they won't be involved in some sort of a ministry some way. I can't. Whether it's an official capacity or not, they do ministry as part of life.
I don't think that they really ever stop ministry.
Mm-mm.
That's a part of who they are.
Tony, keep playing basketball.
I hope that they take time and relax and enjoy things.
Tony, Cynthia, I really want you to enjoy life. Enjoy life that God had given us. Enjoy it every single day.
I just hope that they hold on to how much impact and how much love they've shared with so many people, because I know there's a lot more people out there who are going to continue to see that love.
If Tony's job at the cat shelter doesn't work out.
I know they work together as a team now, and I just think they're going to be that much more a formidable force for God working together.
I hope for the future for Tony and Cynthia that they will have joy and that God will just continue to use them and that they will just be able to have some time to enjoy each other's company.
I hope for their contentment in what they're doing together.
And I want them to know that I will always be praying for things that are very close to their hearts.
And enjoy your retirement and your family and your church family still.
They deserve the richest of blessings because they have given so much of themselves.
I know God's not done with them yet, by a long shot.
How do you measure love? I'm not sure you can. But you can see it. In the faces of people who have been touched by it.